Hey, everybody, I'm the Ranting Monkey, and with me, as always, is Scribe. Say hi, Scribe.
Hi, Scribe.
SDA may or may not be joining us. She's having internet trouble, so if she can, she'll pop in. But otherwise, it's going to be the Scribe and Money show for now.
Yay!
Hey, Scribe,
Yes,
did you know guys like porn?
you must be joking.
I know it's strange, but it's true.
I've never seen it, so I don't know.
You should check it out because all guys like it.
Really, what happens? What's the word? I mean, is it as cool as Tango and Cash?
It's cooler because people get naked and they do naked things.
Well, there's that naked lady in Tango and Cash for like 5 seconds. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I get to see boobies.
Oh boy,
So, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. The weather's nice. I'm not burning up anymore, and I had a sandwich for lunch. Sandwich.
Oh, real quick, before people start telling me, yes, I know it's spelled money.
Yes.
It's an old joke, but that
Yes.
is correct.
It's a very old joke.
So, news.
Monkey
Do we have news?
Monkey is the old joke because he can't spell.
Yeah. You know, it would have been okay if I only did it once, but I've done it more than once.
Yeah, that
on
was the
accident.
deal. So let's see. I need to see. I've got some outstanding ads. So when Sanguine, New Fate 26, and Alpha Omega make appearances, we have things to do. Alpha Omega in particular is a bit more complicated because it is a three-person show. So if any or all of those individuals are either here or show up later, please say something in the chat so I'll know, and then we can engage with that stuff because I spent some time working on that stuff today. So
Before we go on, somebody wanted to know what kind of sandwich you had.
what was it? It was roast beef and smoked ham
Ooh,
with mayonnaise, tomato, lettuce, and mustard.
now I want a sandwich. That sounds good.
It was nummy in my tummy. Oh, I saw
And real
Sanguine.
quick, who are we waiting for? Sanguine, Alpha, and who?
Sanguine, Alpha, Omega, and New Fate 26.
New Fate. Okay, I'll keep an
All
eye out
right.
for them. Sanguine is here.
Sanguine is here. Okay, so Sanguine had two ads. One is a bit more complicated than the other, but the less complicated one has some Easter eggs for super nerds in it. But we'll see if anybody gets it. So the first one, Sanguine requested, as he is wont to do, a movie trailer for a Renaissance zomedy or zombie comedy. This is my attempt. In school, you learned about his genius of architecture and engineering. His paintings have fascinated and inspired generations, from The Last Supper to the Mona Lisa. But now, the greatest secret in all of history can finally be revealed. The terror that was Leozambo da Vinci, inventor of death. See the horrifying truth of history's greatest minds as he seeks the minds of others for dinner. Discover the Mona Lisa was really the Lisa. Leozambo da Vinci, inventor of death. A Sanguine production.
See, I never know if I'm supposed to be laughing during these or not, so I try to keep myself quiet. So
Yeah,
I'm sorry if I ruined it there because that was great.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Oh.
If it was something like, so if somebody said, "Hey, can you do an ad for like something serious, or like an ad that I can cut for my channel or something," then maybe you know. But I'm not gonna. If it was something serious, I'd tell you just turn off your microphone or something. Anyway, the second one Sanguine asked for was Space Colony ship tickets. So this is shorter, but again, Easter eggs for the nerds out there. Planning your next vacation, tired of the boring, dusty balls of the moon and 2 weeks on Mars? Then set course for the Shoulder of Orion. Tickets are available now to the colonies on Hunter's Moon and Arrowhead Prime. Sanguine Space Travel will take you there in style with first-class service to the Tannhauser Gate and all points in between. Prepare for a new world and a new life with Sanguine Space Travel.
I didn't get any of the nerd references.
That's fine. I will await people's comments when we get to chat time, or yeah, chat time, or if I happen to spot it earlier. If anybody caught any of those things that I referenced, I actually referenced two sources there, two sci-fi sources. If you caught it, congratulations. If you didn't, don't worry. You can read. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Well,
What did I miss?
Maladjusted One cited Total Recall. That is true. I said 2 weeks on Mars.
Oh, yeah,
And that was a line. Okay. And Cracked. Oh, Cracked got the Blade Runner reference. Yes, Shoulder of Orion and Tannhauser Gate are references to Blade Runner. So there you go, guys. Congratulations. Also, actually, real quick, Shoulder of Orion and Tannhauser Gate are also references, tangentially speaking, to the movie Soldier with Kurt Russell. Do you know how many Easter eggs are in Soldier with Kurt Russell?
No.
Okay, so at the beginning of the movie, have you seen Soldier with Kurt Russell?
I have not.
Okay, well, he plays a genetically engineered soldier. I won't give it too much away about the plot, but at one point early in the movie, it lists off very briefly on the screen the medals he's won and the battles he's fought in. One of the medals is the Pliskin Medal of Honor, after Snake Plissken from Escape from New York. Yeah. Another one is the Cash Award from Tango and Cash. In the background at one point in one scene, there is the wreckage of the plane he flew in Executive Decision. I mean, there is a ton of Easter eggs, and there's even something that suggests that that movie is in the same universe as Blade Runner. So it's all about Easter eggs. Anyway.
We are going against Jordan Peterson tonight, fucker.
Damn that bastard. God damn it.
I love Jordan Peterson, but damn it.
Okay, so we got Sanguines out of the way. So if we see New Fate and or Alpha Omega. Alpha Omega is going to be the big one because that's the cast of 3. We'll get there. Anyway, do we have anything else to talk about before we get to the schnuzz?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Well then, first let's start off with the latest on Irma, or at least the aftermath thereof. Anxious residents begin returning to battered Florida Keys. Heidi and Alan Newsel grew frustrated early Tuesday after waiting more than 14 hours for authorities to let them back into the battered Florida Keys. The parents of 3 boys were part of a large group of Keys residents awaiting permission to return to their homes and survey the damage wrought by Hurricane Irma. I just want to go home, Alan Newsill screamed at authorities from the side of the road. Yeah, that'll really hurry things along, dude. It really will. You're a parent to 3 boys. Are you sure you're not one of them?
Yeah, no shit.
He wasn't the only one exasperated enough to yell at police. Oh, that's good. Other residents joined him as officers directed traffic and vehicles at the front of the line. Jockeyed to get ahead of each other. Oh, as officers directed traffic and vehicles. Okay. Heidi Newsel broke down as she pondered the potential scene they'd find upon arriving in Key Largo. I don't know what we're going to do if we don't have a home, she asked. Where will we go? Well, that's legitimate. Around 7 a.m. Eastern, police began letting residents back into the ravaged island chain. Upon leaving the Florida mainland, Key Largo is the first town in what is known as the Upper Keys, the easternmost third of the island chain that includes Tavernier, and Isla Morada. Ooh, Isla Morada. That's where the show I'm watching on Netflix right now takes place. Bloodline. It's a really good show. West of that, in the middle and lower Keys, rescue and recovery workers are working to clear roads and inspect bridges so that residents and business owners can return. But even in the Upper Keys, water, power, sewer, fuel, medical service, and cell service are still limited.
It's like living in Cuba.
Let's see. The Federal Emergency Management Agency estimates that 25% of buildings on the archipelago are destroyed. About 65 are damaged. 65%, sorry. Jesus. Drone footage shows vehicles crawling down the southbound lanes of US 1, also known as the Overseas Highway. The 113-mile thoroughfare carries travelers from the southern tip of Florida over more than 50 bridges to Key West.
I got a couple of ads here, or ads, God bless it. A couple of super chats. Zenith, thank you so much. Both Blade Runner and Total Recall are adaptations of Philip K. Dick stories. Did you think about that when making the ad?
It occurred to me after the fact because I was like, the first movie that came to mind was Mars when I was doing that first part, and I thought, 2 weeks. And it wasn't until afterwards that I was double checking because I was like, I think Tannhauser Gate is Blade Runner and Soldier. So I was looking it up, and then they talked about the connections to all the movies and the author and everything. So it was a happy, convenient afterthought. Let's put it that way.
Then we have one from Sanguine. How would Jordan Peterson interpret tongue buttering turtle caves?
You better go. Don't go ask him. Whatever you do, do not go ask him.
Here's what I would do. With Jordan Peterson, I would simply ask if you were going to do such a thing, and I'm not encouraging anyone to do it.
No.
How often he watches the Lord of the Night stream. But if you wanted to go ask Bunty King about tongue buttering turtle, I would not support that. I would not support that at all.
Who shall rid me of this meddlesome priest? Okay.
Real quick, I also Lady Monkey reminded me I had a super chat before we started, and I need to do that too.
Okay.
God, it would be great if my give me a second to get it. There we go. Thank you, Point Curation. Well wishes for Simeon and friends. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Point.
And so, yeah, Irma's going to be a bitch for people for a while.
Yeah, and technically, hurricane season isn't even over yet.
No. Still got a ways to go. Lady Monkey asked, "Who the heck is this Jordan guy?" And somebody asked,
he played for the Bulls.
Jordan Peterson is a college professor from Canada who has been in the news a few times, but most notably for opposition to Bill C-16 in Canada, which adds gender preference or gender identity to their civil rights laws, kind of.
Yeah, if you misgender someone, it could be a crime.
At the moment, it really only affects their government workers or some weird shit like that, but it'll eventually get to everyone. And the college that Jordan Peterson worked for said that they were going to implement the same rules that the government was, basically implement C-16 at their college. And he stood up and went, no, fuck that. He's really interesting to watch. Really, really smart guy.
Oh, apparently he stole my voice. I think Jordan Peterson is markedly older than I am. So if anything, I unknowingly have been imitating him my entire life or something like that. Well, let's see. So I don't have any other hurricane news of great import right now, but we do have some other big news that happened today. Something that got kind of overshadowed by Irma, of course. The Supreme Court. Trump administration can keep travel ban on most refugees.
Yep. I'm surprised by that, but I'm not surprised at the same time, if that makes sense.
I'm curious about the some part, but let's see. The Supreme Court granted Tuesday a Trump administration request to continue to bar most refugees under its travel ban. Without comment, the court blocked a federal appeals court ruling from last week that would have exempted refugees who have a contractual commitment from resettlement organizations from the travel ban while the justices consider its legality. The ruling could impact roughly 24,000 people. The travel ban bars certain people from Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen from entering the U.S. The issue concerning the scope of the travel ban has been ricocheting through the courts since last spring, when the Supreme Court allowed Trump's ban to go into effect, except for those with a, quote, bona fide, unquote, relationship to the United States. The order might give hope to supporters of the ban, but it may also simply reflect a desire on the part of the justices to maintain the status quo until the justices can hear the case next month. Quote, although it may be tempting to see the order as a harbinger of how the court is likely to rule on the merits, it's better understood as a very modest procedural step to stabilize the full scope of the injunctions against the travel ban over the next 4 weeks, said Steve Vladek, CNN Supreme Court analyst and professor of law at the University of Texas School of Law. The justices did not explain their reasoning, you guys said there was no comment before, but okay. Although it took 5 justices to make the decision, the court is expected to take up the legality of the travel ban on October 10th. Oh, good. Well, then I doubt they'll have a decision by the time my anniversary show rolls around, but hey, whatever. So yeah, that happened. So it's kind of a Band-Aid temporary thing. It doesn't necessarily.
Maladjusted one. I win. I got Bunty to talk about tongue butter and turtle caves.
Oh no!
The Scribe and Money Show does not endorse such behavior.
No, we don't endorse it at all. We don't at all encourage it at all. No.
Maladjusted one. We're not going to give you credit for what you did there, Maladjusted one, for getting Bunty to talk about that. Maladjusted one. We do not encourage that behavior.
Maladjusted one.
Maladjusted one. Yeah, I still think when it goes through the actual trial part, it's going to get struck down. If it doesn't, I will be really surprised. If Trump wants to do this, I really think they need to change the actual law, because the latest law says you can't do it based on country of origin, and that's exactly what he's doing. So we'll see what happens there.
This could also, maybe it's a long shot, but given now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the travel ban was instituted via executive order. Yes.
As far as I'm aware, yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Maybe this could lead to a Supreme Court opinion on the breadth of executive order powers. Or at least set precedent that it would have to jump up against in the future. Maybe. I know it's a long shot.
I would love to have the optimism there.
Yeah, I know.
But we saw Obama shot down repeatedly, and they never.
Yeah, true enough.
So I'm hopeful. Don't get me wrong. If it happens, I will be a happy man. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let's see. In other news, now the weather. No. Let's see. So the other big news story: the Department of Justice will not prosecute officers in the Freddie Gray case. So for those of you that don't recall, Freddie Gray was the individual who was in the back of a police van, and over the course of being held in custody in that van, depending on which story you believe, his neck was essentially cracked and severed by being bounced around in the van in what has been accused as a rough ride, where he wasn't secured inside the van and was driven around until he was injured in such a way that he died. I believe 6 police officers involved in his arrest and custody, let's say. 3 of whom I believe 3 of the 6 were African American.
Yes.
4 of them were put on trial. I think it was 4. The city prosecutor attempted to get them convicted of negligence and attempted murder or murder, etc.
Outright murder, yeah.
Outright murder. And in each case, she failed. Each officer was acquitted in turn. And so even though she planned 6 prosecutions, she got through 3 acquittals before she gave up, because they couldn't prove intent, they couldn't prove maliciousness, they couldn't prove the charges against them. That did not veto the possibility of the Department of Justice moving in and prosecuting the officers for civil rights violations, amongst other things. So with all that being said, the Department of Justice will not prosecute them. So here's the story. The Justice Department announced Tuesday that it will not prosecute 6 Baltimore police officers in the 2015 death of Freddie Gray. In a statement, the DOJ said it found, quote, insufficient evidence to support federal criminal civil rights charges against the officers. Quote, after an extensive review of this tragic event conducted by career prosecutors and investigators, the Justice Department concluded that the evidence is insufficient to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Officer Cesar Goodson, Officer William Porter, Officer Garrett Miller, Officer Edward Nero, Lieutenant Brian Rice, or Sergeant Alicia White willfully violated Gray's civil rights. Gray died in April 2015 after suffering a neck injury while in police custody, his death spurring massive protests and riots in Baltimore. In July 2016, Baltimore prosecutors dropped charges against 3 of the officers, while the other 3 had been previously acquitted. God, my memory is just a steel trap tonight. I thought I screwed that up somehow, but nope. According to the DOJ, quote, the officers made no admissions that would allow us to prove that any of the officers were actually aware that transporting Gray without a seatbelt in back of a police wagon would create a substantial risk of serious harm. The department also cannot prove that the officers received training regarding substantial risks or harms associated with the transportation of unseatbelted detainees. Seems like a common sense thing to me, but whatever. The department reviewed longstanding BPD policies for seatbelting that were in effect until just days before Gray's arrest, and those policies afforded officers the discretion to refrain from seatbelting detainees if the officers believed there were security risks involved. Okay. Representatives Elijah Cummings, John Sarbanes, and Dutch Ruppersberger. John Sarbanes and Dutch Ruppersberger. And no, you don't use and twice. Okay, you comma these guys. You don't use the and till you get to your last individual. I'll read it as it's written. Representative Elijah Cummings, John Sarbanes, and Dutch Ruppersberger, and Senators Ben Cardin, and Chris Van Hollen said they were disappointed by the Justice Department's decision, but added, "We are not surprised." If you're not, okay. In light of this reported decision, we are once again calling on DOJ to actively support, not undermine, the consent decree and to provide Baltimore with all federal resources available to improve our police force. Doing anything less would be unconscionable. Okay. So there you go. That's the latest on that one.
Not surprising. I mean, they couldn't get local charges, state charges to stick. So the feds, there was no reason for the feds to even be fucking involved.
You had a super chat from Tall Person.
Oh yeah, I did. Thank you. Thank you, Tall Person. Happy National Video Games Day, everyone. Be you a socializer, a killer, an explorer, an achiever, or otherwise, I wish you fun and good luck. If you don't play video games, go play video games, guys.
Yeah.
It's so much, I actually want to talk about that for a second. A lot of people look down on video games being played by adults. These same people will sit there and watch TV for hours at a time. They're both entertainment. Mm-hmm. And frankly, video games are more fun.
Yeah, but I mean,
why is Lady Monkey telling me to speak up? Was I being too quiet, guys? I'm sorry.
I heard you fine, but what do I know? I have ears like
I was
a bat.
A little bit away from my mic.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, games are entertainment, but then Skyrim is a lifestyle.
I never understood why it was okay to sit there and watch fake people have fake stories going on TV. But if I play a video game, that's somehow childish.
I don't know. I don't
know.
I mean, yeah.
And those same people, many of those same people will watch fucking football games on TV. I love football. I'm not degrading it, but what the fuck is different? I don't understand.
Well, and not to make sort of the popularity is justification kind of thing, but you want to talk about video games as an entertainment industry. It makes more money than movies these days, for God's sakes. So, I mean, look down on video game players. Well, you're sitting in your house doing nothing productive. I guess it depends on how you assess productive. Are you curing cancer? Not necessarily. Are you socializing? Well, only if you're playing a multiplayer, and even then, you might be sitting in your basement. What?
Maladjusted one. Do I eat ass? Do I eat ass? Yes, I eat ass. Bunty King.
Oh, shit.
Oh, my God.
No, wait. So wait, the thing that we are totally not endorsing anybody inquire of other people, this person just admitted that he takes part in such tongue-buttering activities.
Bunty does the tongue buttering.
Oh, my God. I can't believe it's not tongue butter. All right. Well,
I'm tweeting that at him right now.
Yeah, that's wow. We should hold a separate stream just called Confession Time, and just and we should get everybody to bring on. No, I guess you can't log into Hangouts without showing it. Okay, I was thinking you could do it anonymously, get one of those voice scrambler deals.
Oh yeah,
and I just say something that's true, but you can't be identified. Scotch asks, where's SDA? SDA is having internet problems, and she's going to be trying to log in, but things in Georgia, probably understandably so, are kind of sketchy right now when it comes to internet and everything else with the storm damage that flew through there. I don't know if that's what causes this, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's an after effect of it. So fingers crossed, but otherwise, Monkey and I will soldier on unless or until SDA can make it in.
Yeah.
So now, well, we're into potpourri, but there's no SDA.
So what do we have for potpourri?
Let's see, and just to make sure, nobody's seen Alpha Omega or New Fate 26 yet, I'm assuming?
I have not.
Okay, chat and or Lady Monkey, who's keeping an eye on things. If you see them, let us know. All right, well, here's your potpourri choices. You have Berkeley Pepper Spray. You have White Nationalists. And you have the Emmys.
Oh, let's get the racists out of the way.
The
White Nationalists.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you meant the Emmys.
Well played. Well played.
The latest House OK. So the first off, I just want to say before I read this headline, this sounds like a complete no-brainer, but it's news. So anyway, House OK's measure condemning white nationalists. So in one of the, sort of extreme examples of virtue signaling, we're going to pass a non-binding resolution or whatever it is just to state white supremacy is bad, okay? So the House has approved a resolution condemning white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and other hate groups following a white nationalist rally in Virginia that descended into deadly violence. Lawmakers backed the measure by voice vote Tuesday. It now goes to President Donald Trump, who has been criticized for his response to the August incident. The resolution describes Heather Heyer's death in Charlottesville as, quote, a domestic terrorist attack, and acknowledges 2 Virginia state troopers who died in a helicopter crash while monitoring the protests. The resolution urges Trump and his administration to speak out against hate groups that espouse racism, extremism, xenophobia, anti-Semitism, and white supremacy, which they have repeatedly. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not Donald Trump's biggest fan, but have you read the things that they have said and put out there? I remember like when at the beginning of the year when they had the Holocaust Day and they started accusing the White House of being anti-Semitic because they didn't name Jews specifically.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just like, okay, so because they said all victims of the Holocaust, because not all the victims were Jews. So just, it's safer and more convenient to just say everybody, because you could go on forever with how many groups and subgroups were victims of the Holocaust.
Yeah.
It also calls on federal agencies to, quote, use all resources available to, quote, address the growing prevalence of those hate groups in the United States. How about just hate groups in general? Black Lives Matter, Antifa, white nationalists, neo-Nazis. How about just hate groups that you can actually identify as hate groups? Or are hate groups the only ones the Southern Poverty Law Center says are? That's what Splinter taught me.
How did the Southern Poverty Law Center and the ADL, how did these people become the arbiters of who is or is not a hate group?
Well, what little I know about the SPLC is, especially during the militia movement and the aftermath of Oklahoma City, their program called Klan Watch was, in all truth, at the time, one of the most on-point investigative groups in keeping tabs on white supremacist and militia groups in the country. And back then, there was a legitimate concern, especially after Oklahoma City. So if you wanted to go to people who spent nothing but all of their time keeping an eye on these groups for potential extreme acts or criminal acts and everything else, there was some legitimate compliments to be had there. But ever since then, somehow they've become like, I don't know, they're a non-governmental agency. They're just like a nonprofit.
Yeah, exactly. That's my problem is they aren't a government agency. They're just some people who decide.
Yeah, I mean they've been imparted with an authority, especially by mainstream media outlets like CNN and everything. They'll have like Mark Potok and what's his name, the other guy that's in there, Morris Dees, and the other guys that run the SPLC. on their shows to sort of, speak as experts. And, as far as being experts on white nationalist or militia movements in the country, I can't argue. They know what they're talking about, but they're not the authority. And just because they don't list a group as a hate group does not make them innocent. And that's what Splinter tried to do. They tried to say, well, because Antifa isn't listed as a hate group by the SPLC, it's not a hate group. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Let's see. So we have remaining pepper spray and the Emmys.
Let's do pepper spray.
Berkeley police ask to use pepper spray at violent protests.
Oh.
Berkeley, California. Police in Berkeley asked the city council Tuesday for permission to add pepper spray to the force's arsenal to disperse violent demonstrations that have repeatedly hit the city this year during political protests, a move that comes ahead of another planned controversial speech at the University of California, Berkeley. And that is, of course, if the Berkeley police are allowed to intervene.
Yeah, no shit. Isn't there enough pepper spray at these things?
I'm just surprised that pepper spray wasn't already a part of the. I mean, for one of the most protest-tested towns in the country, you think they'd be the first on the line with pepper spray?
I want to know why they're not asking for like beanbag guns.
Let's see. The city banned pepper spray in 1997 as a crowd control weapon, though most law enforcement agencies permit officers to use it to disperse violent crowds. Police Chief Andrew Greenwood said. That's what Greenwood sought at an emergency council meeting, saying it is preferable to batons and tear gas, which the city is allowed to use but disperses far wider than pepper spray. Officers were preparing for violence as soon as Thursday when conservative political commentator and former Breitbart editor Ben Shapiro appears on campus, and again later this month when conservative figures have been invited to speak. Quote, "It is a request made of urgency," Greenwood said. The city council is expected to vote later Tuesday. Dozens of people lined up at City Hall to oppose arming Berkeley police with pepper spray, saying it is too easy for officers to use and has the potential to be used on peaceful protesters. It is too easy for officers to use. So you want to you want to lock it with a Rubik's Cube?
That is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. It's too. Do they know how easy a gun is to use?
Yeah, you pull the trigger.
Oh my God.
Okay. And has the potential to be used on peaceful protesters. You're right. It does have the potential to do that. You know what else it is? Non-lethal.
Mm-hmm.
Some cities nationwide banned pepper spray after several high-profile incidents of police using it on peaceful protesters. An incident in which students at the University of California, Davis were pepper sprayed during a peaceful demonstration in 2014 led to a $1 million legal settlement for the protesters. I believe this is the one where they were all sitting on the ground doing nothing, and that cop just walked up and just walked down the line spraying them in the faces.
Yeah, that was horrible.
That I won't disagree. That was an egregious and unnecessary use of police force and chemical attack in a situation that was not violent, did not pose a threat to anybody. It was just an idiot being an idiot.
Yeah.
That's beside the point here, because Berkeley is not going to be a bunch of people sitting down singing Kumbaya. It's going to be Antifa.
Rocket Surgeon in chat. What's wrong with giving the cops flamethrowers?
Oh. Let's see.
That reminds me of one of my favorite George Carlin jokes, talking about how flamethrowers were invented. Like, I'm standing over here and I want to set that motherfucker on fire, but he's way across the street. Okay, so what do we have left? Go ahead.
Wait, we still have a little bit more I want to read on this.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
In opposition to it, Ishmael Tariq, a civil rights lawyer with the National Lawyers Guild, said police must use a dispersal order before firing tear gas canisters. Tariq said police don't have to issue a warning when using pepper spray. Quote, "It's a blunt instrument used for a very precise problem," he said. Yes! I don't know what to tell you. It's much okay. Tear gas canister versus pepper spray, affecting an entire crowd or affecting particular individuals, riling up things. Which would you prefer?
Thank you, Sanguine. But if they use non-lethal means, they can't as easily sell the cops just want to shoot people narrative. Fair enough.
Oh, that's true. That is true. Okay, and lastly, we have the Emmys. And I wasn't really kidding earlier when I made the joke about when Monkey said, let's talk about the racists. And I said the Emmys because the headline is Black and White Emmys reflect TV's narrow ethnic view. Los Angeles, when cameras pan across the faces of eager, anxious Emmy Award nominees at Sunday's ceremony, TV viewers will see a record 12 African Americans vying for comedy and drama series acting honors. But it's a lopsided outcome in the struggle for diversity. Master of None star Aziz Ansari, who's totally a genius when it comes to feminism, by the way, who is of Indian heritage, is the sole Asian American to be nominated for a continuing series lead or supporting role. Not a single Latino is included in the marquee acting categories. An Emmy version of the 2015 to 2016 #OscarsSoWhite protests would miss the point. Worthy films and performances from people of color were snubbed by Movie Academy voters, while insiders say the scant Emmy love for non-Black minorities largely reflects closed TV industry doors.
Real quick, I hate to interrupt you in the middle of an article, but I missed a super chat and I need to get this fixed. Okay. This was way back when we were talking about confessions, the confession stream. Sanguine said, "Nah, it's funnier if you voice mod them while their avatar face is up, so you should still do it."
Yeah, but they wouldn't.
Sorry about that, Sanguine. I didn't even see that one come through. I apologize.
Yeah, the timer for those things to stay up there is so short for anything under like $10.
Yeah.
It should be a little longer because, if somebody goes to the trouble, they should get their moment in the sun, for crying out loud.
I don't even know why I didn't see it because I've had the chat up the whole time. It's not like I'm on another screen.
I don't know. Let's see. Quote, there are a lot of us, but because we haven't gotten the opportunity to shine, you don't know we're around, said Ren Hanami, an Asian American actress who's worked steadily on TV in smaller roles, but found substantive, award-worthy parts elusive. Well, maybe you're not a good enough actress.
Couldn't be that.
I mean, I hate to tell you this, but unless you're saying that you should be hired based on your skin color and or ethnicity exclusively and not on your talent, I'm not sure what to tell you. If that's the argument you're making, then I would like to direct you to something called the civil rights movement, wherein one of the arguments was employment should not be based on skin color. Now, I understand that dramatic roles and things are different because if you're casting for a specific role in a specific time period or location, that's one thing and definitely a consideration that has to be taken into account. But at the same time, after that, what's the next filter? Ability. So,
Rocket Surgeon in chat makes a great point. 1 Asian, 12 blacks. Isn't that pretty much exactly the racial demographics of the U.S.? It's pretty fucking close. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, you're not wrong there, but
remember, they only want representation when it means 50-50 for everybody, which isn't possible, guys.
The hard-won progress made by the African-American stars and makers of Emmy-nominated shows including Blackish and Atlanta has brought them creative influence, visibility, and this year, nearly a quarter, 23.5% of series cast nominations. So 10% higher than the population density in the U.S. for African Americans. Well, congratulations. You've exceeded the, what the standard would be if we're talking about the population representation of the U.S. A long record of fighting for civil rights, is behind the gains, said Leonard James III, chair of the NAACP Image Awards Committee. How many white guys received Image Awards, I wonder?
Oh, probably very few. Maybe.
How many Asian Americans received Image Awards, I wonder? And I am honestly asking the question. I have no idea. Maybe they're far more balanced in their nominations and things than mainstream. But I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'd be curious to find out. Quote, we've been engaged with the Hollywood community for 100 years, James said, including NAACP-led protests against D.W. Griffith's The Birth of a Nation in 1915, just 6 years after the organization was founded. Quote, I think you're beginning to see some of that work at very positive results, unquote. Okay. I don't know if that work is getting you positive results. It's getting you results, but are they results based on merit or based on guilt and fear? Which would you prefer?
Political correct bullshit. Oh, thank you, Point Curation. Question from Jordan B. Peterson stream. How do I go about trying to be morally autonomous and point towards truth when my family, friends, and workplace all seem to be pointed at social justice? Know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Make sure you're knowledgeable on anything you're gonna discuss. You don't have to go the same way they are. I know a lot of people don't like to talk about politics and stuff, and that's one way to do it. Just don't discuss it around them.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer the challenge them, but make sure you know what you're talking about. Don't just spout any bullshit you've heard. Do the research.
Well, so in those three categories, first and foremost, by all means, avoid at all costs discussing politics, religion, or relationships at work. Do not do it. Or with coworkers, even outside of work. Do not do it. There's no reason for it unless you're working in some industry where it's like a necessary component or something. I don't engage in those conversations with coworkers. I used to in very small spurts, depending on the circumstances, but I learned very quickly it's not worth it. It's not worth getting an argument or even engaging in. And even if somebody else says something that you just want to jump on, don't. With family, it depends on your relationship with your family. Same thing with friends. I have unfortunately had distance put between myself and friends because they have gone completely off the deep end on the you can't say that, or because you disagree with me, you are a racist or a sexist or something else. I have been effectively blacklisted from people who I've known for a decade or more because I disagreed with them or because I said something that they decided to interpret as being evil or whatever you want to call it. It sucks when it happens, but if it happens, it wasn't a friendship worth keeping. I know that sounds really cold, but a friend is either a friend or they're not a friend. I don't know what else to tell you about that part. It was a hard-won lesson to me not to sort of give in or capitulate to somebody who's going to treat me with disrespect on the basis of a disagreement and still consider them a friend. It just doesn't work. As far as family, you can't escape family, so just love it or lump it, kind of.
Back in my Facebook days, most of my friends were very liberal, and I was very openly me. So there were a couple of times that there were arguments, but for the most part, people put up with it. Because I don't be rude to them. You can talk about things without it turning into a fight. The problem comes when it gets personal, which is a big problem in our society as it is. Everybody takes politics so goddamn personal.
Yeah, do everything. So yeah, the rules are when you're engaging in these kind of things, first and foremost, make the argument about the idea and not the person. Do not start, even if they start taking shots at you personally, short of them accusing you of something you didn't do and so on, take the higher ground and focus on the question at hand or the idea at hand. Stay away. Be the better person when it comes to it. But like you, Monkey, most of my friends during the last previous 10 years or so, I would say we're all sort of on the same sort of liberal-ish wavelength. I mean, I was for gay marriage. I have been for legalization of pot. I was very leaning Democrat most of the time on things, and so were most of my friends. But at a certain point, a good swath of the people I associated with went further beyond the extreme. And further and further. And eventually I was so far away from where they were. I hadn't moved much. My notions about the world and people and my opinions had kind of stayed the same, but they'd gone off into la la land. And so the distance between me and them became too great to handle. And it was really weird. It was really disappointing to see people that were otherwise level-headed for most of the time that I'd known them suddenly become so, I don't know how else to say it, but just sort of like
let's hold that thought for deep.
Sure.
Because that's actually something I'd like to talk about.
Okay.
So let's jump into YouTube time. You made a video today, right?
Do you want to? Oh yeah, we are already there. Gee, I didn't even do MSS news. I'm sorry,
Oh
guys.
god damn, yeah, and we had a lot yesterday too. You know what?
Well,
If
SDA's not here. We got a little extra time.
well, what I was gonna say is we can kind of stick to the format, and if we run out of ideas
Okay.
or run out of conversation at deep topic time, we can jump into them.
Okay. All right. YouTube time. So today I released a video. It is it comes from the root, but it might as well come from any one of the several outlets that I look at, because there's nothing root-ish about it that I wouldn't expect to see from, say, Splinter or Mike or any other dozen places, but it comes from the root. And it covers the school to prison pipeline. And it introduces several statistics that it claims to show that schools are geared towards criminalizing youth, especially non-white, Black, Hispanic youth. Oh, you have a super chat.
Thank you so much. Sanguine, thank you. I feel the same, Scribe. I was called a Nazi for saying Nazis and communists suck by a friend who has since stopped contacting me entirely.
Yeah, I can empathize to a certain degree. We'll talk. I would like, we'll get to that after the YouTube time. So one of the things that they say in this video, and the one that shocked me when I saw it, because I was like, is that true? They said that 99% of all students who ended up handcuffed due to police contact in schools in New York City in 2016 were Black, or as they say in the video, Latinx. And I thought, 99%? That's insane. Is that true? And so I looked up the raw reports from the New York City Police Department for 2016 of school contacts across all the precincts. And I brought out the Excel sheets. There was one per quarter of the school year, and I got out the Excel sheets. I sorted them by because they had in categories of, this was the type of contact, were restraints used, yes or no, what type of restraint if yes, and then the age and then race of the student. So I sorted it by, were there restraints, and then I sorted it by race, and then I did the math. I went, and I make the joke in the video, I went completely teal deer on this particular instance. And I averaged out all the times that restraints were used, whether they were handcuffs or they classified the other kind as Velcro. I just said, okay, restraints regardless, doesn't matter. I added them all up, and I got the percentages for each quarter. None of the percentages for each quarter of Black or Hispanic students that were restrained went beyond the mid 70 percentile. None of them. So when you average them out, it actually turns out to be, for the entire school year 2016, 57%. Now, that is above average. I won't deny that. Does that mean racism? No. It just means 57%. But it certainly isn't 99%. So I was like, well, where the hell did they get the 99% thing? And so I had to do a little digging, and I found an article that spelled it out. They showed a graph that showed, just like sort of I did with these spreadsheets, they had the total number of times that there were contacts with police, and then next to that a bar graph column of how many times restraints were used. And they had them divided amongst different categories of contact, like this was a crisis situation, or this was a bullying situation, or something like that. One of the 8, I think, categories had something like 262 incidents, 260 restraints. And of those, 99% were Black or Hispanic. And it was one of the smallest numbers of the categories they put up there. So if you ignore all the other contacts and look at this one category, you can say 99%. It was bullshit.
Yeah, most of those are.
Yeah.
When they talk about, especially in school, Francesca Ramsey brought up this study once. There was a study about a school, I think it was New York, and it showed that Black kids in kindergarten were more likely to be suspended. But it's not actually what the study shows. What the study shows is that Black kids are more likely to be resuspended. That doesn't necessarily mean it's racist. That just means maybe some kids are bad. The ones who are getting in trouble are more likely to stay getting in trouble. Anytime this kind of stuff comes up, they will fucking I don't mind you going teal deer on that kind of stuff, because that does need dug into. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it wasn't so much the numbers. I mean, the numbers were just plainly and easily found to be dumb. What bugged me was, and there's several instances over the course of the video where they bring up statistics like the one you just mentioned, I think it is actually, but they state these statistics and then don't give any context. And I say this in the video, I said, it sure sounds like you guys are relying on the God of the gaps theory of presenting these things and then implicitly hoping that we're going to interpret it as being racist. You know, that obviously this is caused by racism, that there's no other factors. And the other thing that I asked throughout the video is, by the way, where are the parents in all of this? Because the argument they're making in the video is that if you get treated like a criminal, quote unquote, in school, then you're going to end up a criminal in adult life. And I'm like, so what you're saying is it's the school's fault when the guy ends up in jail. If this kid gets handcuffs put on him because he's acting out in elementary school, then he is destined. He is fated. He has no other pathway afforded to him except a life of crime. Right. Okay, sure. There's no agency. Once you're marked, you have the scarlet letter upon your forehead and you can never get it off. Yeah. No.
It was a Stargazer just brought up in chat Bebe's kids. Do you know what Bebe's kids are?
Yes.
Fucking Robin Harris. Oh, he died way too young. That was a loss.
Anyway, so that was my video today. And I'm also a couple other notes. One, Base Mama released her second. So she has two stores. She's got a Teespring store and she has a Rage On store. And she asked me to do voiceover work to do ads for both of those. And she just released the Rage On one last night. So if you want to hear my golden throated tones do advertisements for like realsies, you can go check out Base Mama's channel, and I think she just posted last night. So it should be your latest video, and it advertises her like pillowcases and beach towels that have these artistic drawings of Base Mama barely clothed.
Oh, there you go.
So if that's the kind of thing you like having Base Mama wrapped around your naked body after you get out of the shower, you can go get a towel. Not that I'm doing sort of a free advertisement here or anything. And then Sinatra Says has asked me to do a guest video for his channel in the coming days, and I'm going to be working on that tomorrow. I already have a video picked out and a script written, so I'm going to work on that, and I think that's going to show up on his channel sometime after the 16th. So
now, when you do guest videos, do you post them on your channel too?
I wait a week.
Okay.
So that, whatever attention and or revenue that the other person can get out of it is there before I, steal any thunder or anything. So whenever it appears on his channel, I will wait 7 days or so before putting a copy on mine. That's my sort of policy, I suppose.
I didn't do anything today. I was with the little one, of course, and
how is Grand Monkey?
Oh, she's awesome. That child, wearing Grandpa out. Let me put it that way. But it's a fun wearing out. In chat, Scotch did say that Thunderfoot made a video about the Milo thing we discussed yesterday, where people were basically cheering that a man lost his home.
Yeah,
and I will be watching that, because if he takes the tact I think he's going to, I'll be making a video about that as well. But otherwise, I haven't done anything. I do want to make a follow-up video to my video yesterday. There are so many people who are upset that I didn't say nigger in my video, saying that I was a hypocrite. This is I almost started. I scripted that video. I haven't scripted a video in a long time, but I wanted to get that video made before we went on air yesterday. So I tried to script it so that I could do the audio as soon as Lady Monkey was done with work. And I had the first half done. And as you know, I was ready to go with it when I thought, shit, I need to do the Ben Shapiro part. But I was going to start it out saying, hi, everybody. This is the Ranting Monkey, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to say the N-word today. And at the end, I'll tell you why. And at the end, I was going to say the reason that I didn't use it is because I want to make the point that intent matters, not actually what you say. There's nothing that changes about my video if you take anywhere where I say N-word or N-bomb and actually put the word nigger in there. Nothing at all changes about my video. Literally. Intent matters, which is the point that I was making in the video. And so many people just fucking missed that completely. Like the intent is still exactly the same.
Yeah, it's just a word. It's just a word. It has, we talked about this yesterday, context clues. You know,
exactly.
The idea that it's, I mean, depending on how you use a word, if I say, or if you read it, let me put it this way. This is a great one. If you see in writing the word spelled Polish, depending on context, it's either a nationality or something you use to make wood shiny.
Yeah.
Okay. It's context. Context is what matters. The word is effectively meaningless without the intent. And you have a super chat.
Thank you, JC. I finally figured out how to donate to super chat. Should have tried my phone a long time ago. Different username, only issue now. Can I have a blue wrench? We need to talk about wrenches because it's been mentioned a couple of times in chat today already. I don't give my wrenches out as a status symbol for the channel. I don't do it just because of a super chat. The people who have them actually keep the chat clean, at least as clean as, you'll notice you don't see those big block text show up on this channel. That's because these guys do a good job of what they're doing. And right now I have plenty of people doing it. So if I lose some, I will look to have more people with wrenches, but for now I'm not doing that.
Yeah. So anyway, no, your video, the point of your video had nothing to do with the word specifically. I mean, it was the basis of the conversation, so to speak, was the incident with that word, but the word is meaningless. It is meaningless unless or until the listener or the person saying it decides to give it meaning. It's just sound. All it is. But real quick, before you go off on Thunderfoot, I have a story from the Miami Herald, and this comes to us from Fernanda, and it is on point, so to speak, to what you were talking about. So I want to read this ahead of time. Did Milo Yiannopoulos really lose his Miami house in Hurricane Irma? Real or fake news? Milo Yiannopoulos told his followers and friends on Facebook that he lost his home in Miami during Hurricane Irma. The controversial right-wing commentator posted a picture that's gone viral of the destruction in the downtown area. It's been shared hundreds of times since Sunday. The caption, "My house is gone." Before you feel bad for the guy, realize the former Breitbart news editor is a bit of a jokester. Last week, Yiannopoulos managed to make light of the Category 5 monster, writing on Facebook, quote, "In more positive Irma news, Richard Branson's Necker Island home has been devastated," unquote. We checked to see if Yiannopoulos does indeed own that home. We doubted it, since it was why he's still posting about 9/11 related news on Monday and not dealing with the recovery. Plus, we heard he lives in the Miami Beach area. So and this is them talking, not me talking. So anywho, yeah, that house that got decimated does most definitely not belong to Yiannopoulos. The Miami Herald found the place, and it's in Edgewater, a Northeast 27th Street and 5th Avenue. At Northeast 27th Street and 5th Avenue, which is close, but definitely not the Brickell neighborhood where it was rumored to be on social media. Reporter David Smiley spoke to a neighbor who witnessed the drama unfold, and it turns out the property belongs to a guy named Gerard Duhart, who had evacuated ahead of the storm. So no, this wreck of a place does not belong to Milo, so don't be fooled and don't feel bad for him. His post had commenters concerned, taking the Brits seriously, etc., etc. So that's that.
I'm glad if he didn't actually lose his house, and I feel bad for the guy who did, but it doesn't change the reaction to the idea of him losing it. You know what I mean?
It's the intent. It's the context.
Yeah. It doesn't change that people were cheering that it happened. They didn't know it hadn't. Right. So yeah, I will consider. Thank you for pointing that out. I will consider it when I make, because I'm fairly certain I'll be responding to Thunderfoot. I'll have to watch and see what he says.
Otherwise, okay. YouTube drama. So that was kind of YouTube drama, sort of, kind of. What is?
It's not YouTube drama.
Well,
it's the title. Well, no, what I'm talking about next.
Oh, okay.
it's the title of the stream.
Hmm.
Last night on Twitter, if you guys missed it, Ted Cruz liked porn. And it may be the most awesome thing I've ever witnessed.
Oh my God.
Because this wasn't just regular porn. For research purposes, I did watch the video.
Do tell.
The video starts out with this attractive blonde lady walking into her home, and when she steps in, she's hearing noises. And they're sexy noises. So she goes over, and she's in the kitchen, but there's a wall that separates the kitchen from the living room, and she peeks around, and there's a young lady and a young man fucking like mad in the other room.
Oh my God.
She doesn't interrupt them.
Yeah.
She leans against the wall and starts rubbing herself. And she takes off her panties and starts rubbing herself. And it's a great video. It really is. Ooh. Ted has excellent taste in porn. Somebody says it was Corey Chase. I don't know who that is.
Sounds familiar, but I'm not. I won't say I'm a porn connoisseur, but I know some names. That sounds familiar.
The funny part about this to me is that, yeah, he's a politician. He's a Republican, so apparently Republicans aren't allowed to have, sex. But anybody who's surprised by a dude watching porn is just dumb. I'm sorry. Every dude has watched or does watch porn, period. I will not believe any man who tells me he's never seen porn.
A blind man.
Okay, if he was born blind.
Oh, okay.
Because yeah, dudes like porn, guys. I have no problem with him watching this. And now, the liking part and his excuse for it, I have a problem with, because as a politician, you probably shouldn't do that. You probably shouldn't like it.
Exactly.
But his excuse was the same thing as always when stupid shit happens on a politician's feed. A lot of people have access to it, and somebody hit it accidentally. Here's the thing. A video like that isn't something you hit accidentally. You go looking for it. So somebody went looking for it, and they may have accidentally liked it. They were watching it, say, on a phone, and they're jacking it in the other hand. The big moment comes, their hand seizes up, they hit the button. Okay, I don't care. I really don't care if the guy watches porn. I really don't. I think I do wish he would have just come out and been like, yeah, I watched. I jacked off like it was my fucking job. Was it the Reality Kings video? Yes, it was.
Yeah, Reality Kings. Those guys have been around for years and years.
Yeah, it's a great video.
Well, there was some other like actual YouTube drama today.
Yes.
Because Daddy 05 and Mommy 05 finally got to hear their punishment, and it was 5 years probation.
Yeah.
And the news article that, at least the headline that I read, that, I mean, it told me everything I needed to know. I didn't actually read all the article, but it said something about like YouTube parents who, it was something like harassed their kids or pranked their kids. And I'm like, did you watch those videos?
Yeah, no shit.
I mean, setting aside all of the hubbub that, Joyce Sparkles and everybody else inflated of themselves into the whole thing, setting all the extraneous stuff aside, those kids were abused and tortured. Downplaying it into, oh, they were just teased or pranked or something. Give me a fucking break. But you have a super chat.
Yeah, thank you, Terry Diamanis. What is porn? You speak so highly of it that I may need to sample some. What you want to do is go to pornhub.com. Yeah,
see, guys, porn is actually purple corn.
It is.
It's that stuff you hang on the wall decoratively, or you can actually, like, Barbie, they've got porn. Yeah, there's corn, and then there's porn. And then if it's red corn, it's rorn. Yeah, yeah. I'm totally honest here.
Scott says Joyce Sparkles didn't make a video about it, so it didn't happen.
That's true. That's true.
Oh my God. I'm actually surprised with the sentence because there is the 5-year probation. If they violate the terms, there's a 10-year sentence attached to it. There's also, if they want to see Cody and Emma, they have to have a judge's permission, and it will be supervised. Thank you, Sanguine. Ted should have said he beat it like it was a misbehaving Mormon.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Weebs is here. Hi, Weebs.
Hi, Weebo.
But I'm actually surprised it was that heavy of a sentence. I know it seems like nothing. I understand that, but with our court systems, I would not have been surprised with a 2-year probation with nothing attached to it.
Yeah, that's true. But the other thing too is, like you say, they're on notice for at least 5 years. They can't fuck up. And if there's one thing we know about these two, is their propensity for fucking up. So I hope from this point forward, they lead the straight and narrow, never hurt another kid, and actually become better people as a result. But if they maintain their behavior as they have in the previous couple of years, I will not be surprised nor all that disappointed if they violate their terms and end up in jail. So we will see.
Have you seen Mommy of Five's channel? Because they're actually active again on her channel.
No, I aside from the direct looking at things, I don't actually subscribe to or waste my time with their material after seeing what they did the first time around.
Yeah, they these days just prank each other. The only reason I even realized it is it popped up in my feed. There was a video of Mike explaining why he married his ex-wife. And oh dear Lord, it is bad. It is just so bad. But the great part of it is that you get to see just how pussy whipped this little bitch is. That woman controls the shit out of him, and you get to see it in this video so blatantly.
She controls the shit out of him. She is a human laxative.
Yeah, she is. No, wait. She's the shit. That's what she is. She's
oh, you the shit.
So was there anything else on YouTube today? PewDiePie's apology.
Oh, right. I hadn't seen this yet. Sure.
He basically came out and said he shouldn't have said it. He didn't really make any excuses. Of all of the apology videos I've seen, I would actually have to say this is probably one of the best. But I don't think he had anything to apologize for. I understand why he did it. I really do. He's still got to make that money. And I don't say that as a bad thing. I know a lot of people, he does it for the money. Fuck you. Money makes the world go round. Money is important. There's nothing wrong with trying to save your brand when it takes a big hit like his did. I just don't think, personally, I don't think he should have done it, but fuck, why not?
Well, I mean, it's right up there sort of with, maybe not to the same extreme, but with like Bill Maher. You know, Bill Maher had no reason to apologize for the joke, but he did. He opened the floodgates, and now he's neutered himself. But it's a difference between Bill Maher making a joke as a comedian and PewDiePie blurting something out in the course of playing a game, which, again, if you've ever played multiplayer games from the 90s to now, this kind of language in the context of competition is not crazy or racist or anything else. I mean, he could have said anything in place of, like I said last night, he could have said anything, asshole, jerkwad, anything, and it would have had the same meaning in context.
The Maher apology, that pissed me off so much.
Yeah.
PewDiePie's apology, I really don't have a problem with, other than the fact that I don't think he needed to apologize.
Right.
It really is well done, and he should actually work for people who need to apologize because he did it so well. It really was a decent apology. But you're absolutely right. Plus, I have an argument going on in the comments to my last video with somebody who claims that if white people say the word, it's never going to become less offensive. It's never going to lose its power. Only if black people say it. I'm like,
really?
Motherfucker, that's what's been happening for the last 20 fucking years. Well,
have you listened to rap from the 90s till now?
No shit.
Have you listened to Chris Rock or Eddie Murphy or Nate? I mean, Jesus. Oh, God, what was his name? I'm suddenly forgetting his name. Oh, Patrice O'Neal, for fuck's sake.
Oh, God, I love Patrice.
Oh, Patrice is great. Yeah, he's dead. All the good ones die young, but he wasn't doing he wasn't doing himself any favors either physically. So
no, he wasn't. That's a man He went
Or
to the
Richard
grave.
Pryor, for God's sakes. Richard fucking Pryor.
Richard Pryor helped write Blazing Saddles, guys.
Yeah, if the magic concoction here was black people saying the word to make it lose its power, well, it's not working.
Pat says there's a song that says "nigga" over 160 times.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
What song is it? Somebody send me that because I need to see that.
Oh, it's God, I forget who does it, but it's just that word over and over again. And it's like nigga, 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 nigga. I'm 100% nigga. Nigga, nigga, nigga. And it just goes on and on and on. It's just hilarious.
I need you to cover that.
No, I'm not.
No, but the way you normalize anything, you take the power away from it, is everybody doing it.
Yeah, right.
Oh, thank you, Sanguine. All I have to say is nigga, 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 nigga. I'm 100% nigga.
And you can find that song on YouTube. I mean, it's not Jesus Christ. Context clues. Go back to English class. Seriously, people.
I just think we got to stop being afraid of fucking words.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next 6 minutes. Never apologize to SJWs ever. Yes. Well, this is one of the other things. People, Ben Shapiro fans were not happy with me with that video.
Yeah, that's true.
Ben Shapiro gives up the word nigger. He just gives it away. I'm not even fighting for that. The moment you do that, you're saying, if you tell me this word is too offensive, I will stop saying it. And that is not free speech. It's not. I don't give a fuck what he says. That is saying I will capitulate to that. Well, when you do that, they just keep asking for more and more and more. And we've seen this to the point where now, like, you have the law in New York where landlords, business owners have to use the correct pronouns, because if they purposefully use the wrong ones, then they get fined for it.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot give in, period. Either you believe in free speech or you don't. And you can't take a half-ass view of it. And that's exactly what that little shit did in his video.
See, now I've never had occasion, until situations like this come up where it becomes such a big issue, I've never had occasion or even had the inclination to use the word at all. Like if I want to tell somebody they're an asshole, the first reflex word that comes out of my mouth is like, you're a douche fuck. You know, that's my favorite sort of go-to reflexive insult word. But even if I replace that with nigger, it would be an insult word, not I'm being a racist. Because it's one of those things where, yeah, go ahead.
When I was growing up, I've mentioned many times, I lived in Norfolk. I was the minority. And I used to say nigger all the time to black people. I didn't say nigga. For the record, for everybody who, it's the A rather than the hard R.
Hard R.
Go back to NWA stuff and actually listen to it. There was no A in their word.
Yeah.
But we used to say it all the time in the phrase nigger please, which is something I learned from a black guy, and nobody ever had a problem with me saying it. Now, I never looked at a black guy and went, you're a fucking nigger, because that would have got my ass kicked. But when somebody said something stupid and you looked at him and went, nigger please, nobody got offended, because nobody was saying, oh, you're being racist right now. It was just a way to go, you're fucking stupid.
Well, I remember when it suddenly became unfashionable to say retarded.
Oh yeah.
I used to say that's retarded all the time as a kid. And I could still occasionally do it now. Oh, the super chat.
Peter, thank you. Mommy 05, the human laxative. That sounds like a great ad, Scribe.
Well, if we were on my channel, you might get that out of me. Yeah. Anyway.
Pat says, I've been called everything in the book and it don't faze me no more. I personally destroyed those words. That's what you have to do with every word.
Yeah.
There are very few people that can hurt my feelings, and it has nothing to do with the words they say, but the meaning behind it. Lady Monkey is one of them. She can destroy me without even trying, just because I actually give a shit what she says.
Now, the one exception that I'll give, for at least for myself, it's not so much like an insult or something like that, but if I'm accused of doing something or being something that I am not, like when I was called a racist by a friend of mine. And it wasn't meant as a joke or something. They called me a racist for having disagreed with them on something. I will defend myself against shit like that. That pisses me off. Getting accused of being something or doing something or intending something in such an extreme way that never even occurred to me and was not part of my makeup. That I will take as a personal character slight, and that I will defend myself against. But as far as like insults, I was the 79-pound weakling with glasses and shy when I was growing up. I have had everything under the book either said at me or done to me physically, short of, murder, basically, at this stage of the game. And, I'm not going to say that I've got skin as thick as a stone wall or nothing, but it means nothing unless you let it mean something. That's the whole point behind it. You can only take it back. You can't give it.
Exactly. And I'm sorry to cut you off in the middle of that, because that is an important thing. Offense is not given, it's taken, for fuck's sake. Weebo says, the way I took Ben Shapiro was that if you're just saying it to be edgy and nothing else really world-changing, then it's a waste of free speech. There is no waste of free speech.
There is no waste of free speech, yeah.
Either you're for it or you're not. And frankly, the people on like 4chan and gamers and the people who are using that word to be edgy or because they think it's funny, they're the most important people in this fight right now, because they're the ones who are doing it.
Yeah, free speech.
They're the ones who are They're the ones who are normalizing it. Everybody else is running around acting like it's being shot because somebody said it. Oh, my feelings. No.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and then Ben Shapiro should really take note of this. Free speech requires no higher purpose. It is its own purpose. That is the entire point. And every time that somebody tries to tell you, you can't say this or you can't say that, or that makes you a bad person because you said this thing, that, or the other thing, you might be a bad person for all I know, but just saying something does not make you a bad person. If you do things, if you're trying to hurt someone, it's all about like
intent.
It's all about intent. It's like I have had people do things and say things to me in the past that were, by all rights, from an outside perspective, hurtful. Okay, I'll just put it in general terms. But I have learned, whenever something like that happens, especially when it's like a friend of yours or someone you care about, if somebody does something, the first question you have to ask yourself before you react was there intent to wound? Did they mean to harm you? Were they just thoughtless? Some people are just thoughtless. Some people are just inconsiderate. Now, that doesn't make what they did okay, but it definitely takes on a different perspective when you ask yourself, do you believe someone did this to you with the intention to harm? Because there's this old criminal justice lesson about mens reis and actus reis, the mentality of the crime and the action of the crime. If you don't have both of those things, you don't have a crime. Like, I could think about murdering someone, but if I never do it, I haven't committed a crime.
Right.
If I kill someone, but I had no intention to do so, depends on the circumstances, but you're not guilty of murder necessarily. Okay. So that's the whole thing. And so if you can look at somebody, know somebody well enough, and you say, did they do that thing meaning to hurt me? If the answer is no, you still should talk to them about it, but don't approach them necessarily because they're the evil arch villain. They might not be. They may just be thoughtless or stupid or weren't thinking.
Well, as I mentioned in the video, a racist could go their entire life never using that word.
Yes.
Not once.
Yeah.
Doesn't make them not racist. It doesn't make them less racist. The idea that word is so important is just fucking mind-blowing to me. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't the same sort of, I think you brought it up, what was it, the guy that's a friend of Keemstar, some former partner of his, that said, why are you...
Oh, Tommy C.
Yeah, when he was talking about people like saying you can't make jokes about Nazis or whatever, it's like, well, why are you deifying Nazis? Why are we deifying this word that we have to, like you said earlier, like treat it like Voldemort? You just can't say it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you build it up into more than what it actually is when you start being afraid of it. And that doesn't mean that I like I say, I have no reason. I've never had a reason really to ever use the word except in a joking manner in the first place. And the only time I ever say it is when it comes up in shit like this, where people are being vilified for using it in a context that has nothing to do with nothing. And even if, if Richard Spencer never used the word, do you think he'd be any less a racist?
Exactly.
I mean, how many times do you think Hitler actually used that word? Does that make him any less a racist? Come on, guys. Fuck.
The Red Devil asks why people give a fuck about this. I don't give a fuck about PewDiePie saying it, but it is an important conversation to have because we're getting to a point where speech is being actively challenged, where they want to limit what we can say or force us to use certain words. And no, I fuck that. Thank you, Sweeper Steven, just stopping in from work to give some money to the Scribe and Money Show. Thank you so much, Sweeper. You're an awesome guy. I love you. Strange, but the entire story of why Voldemort was not to be named. I don't know what's going on with that comment. Real quickly, about 10 minutes before YouTube time, I wanted to get back to what we were talking about earlier. With the people who stop being your friend about you said something that I wanted to ask you about. You said that your friends, they were reasonable people up until you disagreed with them about certain things. How much of that do you think they were actually reasonable, or you just agreed with them so you didn't see their unreasonable side?
No, I honestly believe it was a transition. I honestly believe it was a transition because, for example, without getting like, I can't use names or anything, obviously, but I was part of a social group that was very cool. Like, we were very cool about a whole bunch of stuff. We would joke, we'd tell dirty jokes, we'd say offensive things. We had friends in our group who were ostensibly and or practicing Jewish, and a friend of mine would make oven jokes and shit like that, and we'd all laugh at them because they were all jokes, right? Mm-hmm. And then there was a shift, and I don't know exactly when it started, but amongst some of my friends, there was a gradual shift towards more and more sensitivity. And I remember specifically the first time, and it didn't make any sense to me then because the social justice wave had not hit, and the very term didn't even enter my lexicon until at least a couple of years later. But I was going to a movie with a group of friends, and this was just a couple of years out of college, I think. And somebody said something to the effect, they were talking about a story where somebody cheated them out of something. And the way they referenced it was, I got gypped. And one of the friends that eventually went completely whole hog into this stuff, turned and said, that's a racial slur. And we looked at him like, huh? He says, yeah, gypped for gypsies. That's racist. And we're like, uh-huh. Okay. And then we're at this movie. So we watched the movie at the theater, movie stops. And then our friend said something about that movie sucked. And we looked at him and says, do you feel like you got gypped? And we laughed our asses off, and he was like, and it was hilarious. But then, as time went on, this notion of defending the weak, speaking for the marginalized, and so on, and feminism, and so it just grew. It grew like a can. I mean, it started out small in little places, and you'd hear little things, and there wasn't any context to it, and then you'd move on and go with on their stuff. But eventually, it became more and more a part of their worldview. And so, no, I don't know what the, for lack of a better word, trigger was, but there was something that started to diverge certain members of my social group into this line of thinking that became more and more insular and more judgmental. And even to the point where someone went so far afield on even the inkling of a rape joke that a friend of mine had to say, because they were lording it over the rest of us, saying how horrible we were for this, that, and the other thing. A friend of mine said, wait a second, you're the one making the oven jokes all the time during Hanukkah when I had my menorah out. It was just this hypocrisy and this sort of holier than thou stuff that some people took a tact on, other people took a lesser one to, but everybody sort of just shifted. And, I'm my own worst witness. Maybe I haven't stayed centrist, so to speak, or maybe my ideas have shifted. I don't think so. I think I've stayed pretty consistent. I haven't gotten any more or less freakazoid about things. I think I've become maybe a little bit more calm in my old age about some things. But I don't look at people and say, you're bad because you disagree with me. I don't vilify people because they say something that I don't agree with or that maybe someone else might find offensive. So I don't know. Anyway, you have a super chat.
Sylvanas, thank you. I call both you, Scribbles, and Monkey my friends, and I say mean things to both of you. Don't mean we aren't friends, means we can take a joke. Yeah. People who can't take a joke can't be friends with me. They really can't. Mm-hmm. The reason I asked that question is, especially after the election, I saw so many people who didn't like their friends anymore because of politics. And I saw so many people talk about how people had changed, and like, well, if you had been paying attention, you might have noticed this sooner. Where I really saw it, and I wasn't around on YouTube at the time, but I've gone back and watched it all. The Atheism Plus split.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Where, you know, everybody was in line. Everybody was great when they were just atheists. And then somebody tried to bring in intersectional feminism and everything just broke apart because, you know, oh, you're not the person I thought you were. Well, maybe it needs to, maybe you need to pay more attention to people. Thank you, Point Curation. If you can take a dick, you can take a joke. RM plus SL.
I think I might be mistaken, and somebody can correct me on this, but I think the person who really championed that shift in Atheism Plus was Richard Carrier. And I only know that really from the admittedly very well done sort of chronology videos by Thunderfoot and Mike Carew, who really went into the Atheism Plus stuff when it was happening and were involved in it directly. So yeah, Atheism Plus was sort of a it's a textbook. Well, I mean, it's not only a shit show, but it's a textbook example of how you can take something that's relatively benign, and you can see it evolve when you infect it with social justice ideology. I mean, the mechanisms and the evolution of Atheism Plus is the same thing that happened with the gaming industry, let's say, or comic books now, or what they attempted to do with heavy metal music, but haven't really been that successful because metalheads are of a particular attitude that doesn't really tolerate that kind of stuff. But yeah, when you're talking about the politics thing, I told this story before, but this past election, I decided not to vote in the presidential. I just didn't vote for either. I didn't want either one in the office. And I told my friend this. And because I was taking a neutral stance, they said that I had de facto voted for Trump.
Oh, yeah.
And this was my best friend. I mean, I don't use that term lightly. This was my best friend for almost a decade at that point. And because from their perspective, I had now abdicated my ability to support the right candidate, even though I was taking a neutral stance and not supporting any candidate. From their interpretation, I had just rejected everything that was important to them down to their very being, and a 10-year friendship gone like that. I mean, I was so shell-shocked at this. I mean, it wasn't even like, you want to talk about somebody changing at the drop of a dime. It was at the drop of a grain of sand. It was just, so it's gone. And I couldn't believe it. I thought, this is the epitome of not only just like intolerance, but the absolute inverse of what you say you stand for by shunning me simply for not agreeing with you. And not even agreeing with you like on the opposite side of the equation, but just like taking a neutral stance because I don't want to take a part of it.
Well, the funniest part of that about that to me is if you talk to a Hillary supporter, that meant you were de facto voting for Trump. If you talk to a Trump supporter, you were de facto voting for Hillary.
And I made that argument. As well. I said, you know, I'm voting for Trump just as much as I'm voting for Hillary in this.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. I was the guy, and my heart I mean, I not to get too melodramatic about it, but I had things like this happen to me where people just completely turned their back on me for stupid reasons in the past. Mm-hmm. My heart didn't so much break as it just turned to absolute callous. I was sad for about 5 minutes, and I was like, okay, goodbye. I don't have time for someone who's going to take everything that I have been to them for years, every supportive moment, every kind word every time I've been there for them or they've been there for me, back and forth. And if they're going to drop me like that over something as stupid as that, like I said before, a friend is either a friend or they are not a friend. And I know that sounds really cold and callous, and maybe I'm just jaded. I know I am. Well, but I can't tolerate people that are just going to toss me aside over something that means nothing, ignoring everything else about who I am and who I've been to them. I hate that. I'm not getting tearful, by the way. I just lost my voice there for a second. I'm not like crying or anything.
I understand that there was a shift in your friends' politics, but what about their steadfast belief in what they believe in, and where they would, suddenly, how am I trying to put this? Did their personality, was it a personality change or just a political change?
See, to that point, I had never really talked politics with them at all. It never really came up. I mean, maybe peripherally or anything, but until that moment, it's just, I mean, the decision between Trump and or Hillary, obviously, and we all know this from anybody who watched this became the rallying cry for moral rectitude amongst so many. And so ever since then, and like I said, before that, there was no talk of politics, social stuff. It never really came up. It was all just, we were friends and just, but after that now, a shift changed in her. She is completely into social justice activism. She goes to Black Lives Matter rallies and other things and all this other stuff. Things that in the entire time that I've known her would never have interested her. She would have been involved in it all. And now all of a sudden it's like, this is her calling. And it just, on the one hand, I'm kind of like, well, hey, do what you're going to do. And, hopefully it's productive for you and you enjoy it and it's nothing horrible. On the other hand, I'm kind of like, God, I really hope you're not being taken into a cult effectively.
I don't have a problem with people who vote Democrat. I do have a problem with SJWs because social justice is a fucking cult. It is. Intersectionality is a fucking cult. Guys, it is, well, it's 10:32 now. We are past time for you guys to start asking questions if you want.
Yeah, boy, it's been an intense hour so far.
See, that's why I knew this one would get intense. That's why, guys, we will hit MSS News. I thank you for any stories you put out there. I'm sorry we didn't get to them tonight, but we will catch up on that soon. Yeah, short of the world ending tomorrow, I'll set aside everything that isn't a major news story, and we'll do nothing but MSS News for news time after like whatever the headline is of the day. Zenith asks, Philip K. Dick or Kurt Vonnegut? Depends on the story. Ethereum. I know I always pronounce your name wrong. I'm so sorry for that. Why do you think what is it? Is it Netriumi? Netriumi? Is that how you say it? That's how I say it. I always say it wrong. I'm going to call you Net because I can say that. There you go. Why do you think the ideology of social justice is so corruptive and corrosive? Because it encourages victimhood. Point Curation asks, not to prize Scribe, but what would you do if she came back a year later and explained that it was a cult-like experience? Well, I mean, she came back to me maybe 2 weeks after effectively dumping me as a friend and apologized for having gone off the rails. That didn't stop effectively. I mean, once something like that happens, it's really hard to go backwards. It's really hard to go home again kind of thing, because I don't want to go too deep into this. If she came back a year from now, I would listen to her, because it's like if she's going to learn anything from this, it's got to be her. I'm not going to preach to her or tell her what's the right way to think or anything, because that would be just hypocritical of myself. So I don't know what would happen. I have to see what would happen. I'd have to see what would come out of it. I've had friends where we've had disagreements, pretty bad ones, and you can go back to being friends, but it's never the same. It's just not. Whiskey Theorizes asks, did you see Charlie Sheen was just in a 9/11 elevator movie? No. Oh, I believe you. I'm not surprised that something like that would happen, but I haven't seen it. No. P Dog Knight wants to know if we bought a copy of Hillary Clinton's book. No, and no. I won't. I have
Go ahead.
Milo's book. I need to finish reading.
Lady Monkey, did you say the magical words? I don't know that we did.
We have not. Monkey Dick, Jim Jones movies. Hit that like button and please, please, guys, share our content.
Yes. What was the other thing I was going to say? It was just in my head and now it's disappeared. Oh, the book. If you want to read and or listen to a really good book on the Hillary Clinton campaign, look up Shattered, inside the doomed camp or Hillary Clinton's doomed campaign. It is a behind the scenes, just completely bald-faced expose on all the inner workings and all the bullshit that went on behind that campaign, and it is amazing to listen to. I got the audiobook.
You know, it's a great behind the scenes book. Primary Colors.
Yes.
Don't watch the shitty movie.
Yeah.
Read the book. It's classified as fiction, but it's basically an inside look at Bill Clinton's campaign. It's excellent. Weibo wants to know if we'd rather fight her in a knife fight or a fist fight. You're like 3 feet tall. It wouldn't be fair.
Well, when you're a jet all the way from your first cigarette to your last dying day. So I'd take a knife fight.
There you go. Thoughts on the Orville TV show on Fox? I haven't even heard of it.
So it's Seth MacFarlane's attempt at sort of a Star Trek send-up / homage.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I haven't seen it, but I watched the trailer, and the trailer got all this. Oh my God, the trailer looks great. I watched the trailer. I did not even smirk at that thing. I was like, there's nothing funny here. There is nothing. And the reviews of the initial release of it pretty much agree with me, even though everybody's like, oh my God, it looks so fun. No, this isn't funny. I mean, it's not like an offensive way. It's just, there's the absence of humor. It's just, there's nothing there. It may turn out to be better than the new Star Trek series, for all I know, the way that thing's looking. So,
Piccolo says, did Sinatra just have a stream about her book? That, and also, did you see Matt Christensen's debate? I wanted to bring that up too. I haven't seen the whole debate. I only watched the end. Matt had a note in the description telling you if you want to see where the guy just fucks off. I think it's at an hour and 10 minutes in. I watched the end part there. I didn't see the whole thing.
I watched the first 5 or 10 minutes. And then I saw the note about him. I just like walked out an hour and 10 into it. I was like, oh, okay. So I jumped ahead to a couple minutes before that. And it was just the guy making all these, or Matt responding to accusations made by him about like conservative content creators or something. And Matt just kept like, shooting down his accusations. And then he finally said, okay, bye. Did slavery exist? Okay, bye. Like, okay, whatever.
Lady Monkey says she won't be here tomorrow. Please remember to sing to Uzi Q for her birthday.
Okay.
Okay.
We might be reminded of that. So people in the chat, if we don't remember to do it tomorrow, definitely remind us. And if Lady Monkey's not going to be here tomorrow and Alpha Omega does show up, I gotta have Lady Monkey do it. I can't replace Lady Monkey with like SDA or something. So let's have to wait until that all lines.
Grand Monkey tomorrow. So chances are she will.
Yeah.
Not be here, so.
Well, we'll see. I still have to wait for what's his name? 26. New Fate 26. Whenever he shows up again. Let's see.
Krampus asks, how would you rank Life of Brian, Holy Grail, and Meaning of Life? I would actually do them in that order.
I probably put Holy Grail just above Life of Brian, just by a smidge. Just because I usually got more belly laughs out of Holy Grail most of the time.
I put Life of Brian ahead just because it's a more original idea.
Yeah, okay.
Plus, it's those guys, so you can't go wrong with any of them.
Nothing for you here says, what are your thoughts on home gardening? Well, you need to have a hole at least 6 feet deep to keep the smell concealed from the authorities.
Earlier, the conversation came up in chat about hate speech and free speech. Since we're short on questions here, guys, don't forget to ask questions. I want to address that. I made the comment that hate speech, it's not real. And I was asked, if it's not real, how can like YouTube classify it? What do I mean by it's not real? It is an entirely made up term. Any speech that you're being hateful in can be hate speech. the idea is that the idea of hate speech came up with hate speech laws, where if you killed somebody and you called them a dirty wetback when you did it, that was somehow more of a crime than if you just killed them, and it's fucking retarded. Either way, the person's dead. Either way, it was a hateful act. Whether you said again, it's one of those points where it's the intent, not what you actually fucking said.
Yeah.
Hate speech is not real. It's a made-up term to try to make people stop saying things.
Yeah. Let's see.
Irate prostate. Okay. Contrast PewDiePie's situation with the Rage After Storm reaction. I don't think what PewDiePie said is even close to what Rage said. Rage was basically saying black people are dumb because of genetics and they can't stop crime, or they can't stop committing crime because of it. PewDiePie slipped saying nigger when he could have said any other insult. That there's different reactions because it was different. Thank you, Sylvanas, for the Horde. If you can live in a game, what game?
Skyrim. Sure. Actually, no, I take it back. Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, yeah, that would be a great one. Yeah, I would go with that.
Weibo says, Paradox question. Is my taste in men due to my Nightwing obsession, or is my Nightwing obsession derived from my taste in men? Well, first off, Weibo, does your boyfriend run around at night with batons hitting people? If not, then it's the other.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say your taste in, well, which did, how long have you liked Nightwing? Was it before you discovered that you like boys? Because that would be my, it depends on which came first.
Aaron Medley says, Scribe, can I contact you on Twitter to talk? That sounds auspicious. I guess it would depend on what you want to talk about. Inedible Trout says, oh, sorry, that's Super Chat. I was about to read it like it was a question. Well, it is a question, but it's yours.
Thank you, Inedible Trout. Favorite Star Wars character? Han Solo, hands down.
Well, the blackest of all Star Wars characters, the Force.
The Force.
Yes. Now, actually, my favorite Star Wars character is probably Zuckuss, the Gand bounty hunter that you see for like 3 seconds in Empire Strikes Back, but in the old expanded universe, had an amazing backstory, and I just love that character as depicted in there. And I really hope that they somehow retain that for that character if it ever comes up again, because yeah, Zuckuss, the Gand.
Scribe, what's your favorite Police Academy movie?
The first one. I mean,
for me,
two is pretty good because they kind of refined, perfected some of the things, but I really can't go wrong with the first one and how they set everything up.
Citizens on Patrol. I think
Citizens on Patrol. Yeah. Oh, when they go to what was it, the Blue Oyster or whatever, the biker bar, or no, the biker, but the gay bar. What I'm talking about.
The gay bar, yeah, the Blue Oyster bar.
Yeah, Blue Oyster bar.
I actually used that in one of my videos once. YouTube question: suggestions on getting a video that's restricted and demonetized to 1,000 views in a week. Oh,
no, I don't worry about monetization anymore. I just, not that I really did in the first place.
You pimp it out to everybody you know.
Yeah, that's why I need to share it. That's why I need to share it.
Inedible Trout, thank you. Zuckuss is cool, but how are you going to beat Mara Jade?
Okay, so Mara Jade, she was cool when Timothy Zahn was first writing her, but she's kind of been overblown in subsequent novels and everything. When she was just in the Heir to the Empire series and in limited aspects thereof, but as soon as they made her like Luke Skywalker's wife and then became a mom, and it just went a bit too far. So old, like original Mara Jade was really cool. Like when she was still struggling between the orders of the Emperor and trying to be on sort of the gray side of things. But she kind of lost interest for me after, oh God, what was it? Yeah, after the Heir of the Empire stuff. Actually, after, the Hand of Thrawn trilogy. Or the duology or whatever it was, yeah.
Whiskey Theorizes asks how we feel about the new Lethal Weapon show. I haven't watched it, but from what I've seen of the trailers, they keep doing this to my childhood. It looks like a joke based on the movie.
Yeah.
They did this with 21 Jump Street, even with Baywatch. They take chips, fucking chips, for God's sake. They take a show or a movie that was very seriously done, and they turn it into a fucking joke. The reason Lethal Weapon worked is because you had this manic depressive and this retiring cop who worked well together because they had to. Making a fucking joke out of it? No. Call it
let's see.
something else.
Your boy Pat says, when I get some shirts, I want Scribe to do an ad for me like he did for Base Mom. Pat, you let me know, and I am there. Pinkala says,
I got it. Weebo Jones asks, what's your favorite drunk memory? My favorite, they go together. We went to a bar. A friend graduated from college, so we went out to party, and it's the only time I've ever thrown up. That's how fucking drunk I got. At one point, I was going to the bathroom, and I don't know why I did it. My friend who had a bald head, I stopped right behind him, and I grabbed his head, and I licked from the base of his neck all the way up to his eyebrow. I don't even remember singing during my time at this bar, but when we got up to leave, the band actually stopped and thanked me for being such a great fan. That moment there was my favorite drunk moment.
My favorite drunk moment is also my most hated drunk moment, in a sense. The favorite sense that I successfully, the relatively shy, geeky, otherwise socially awkward individual that I was at the time, and this is early on, and this is actually late into my college time. I successfully seduced the cheerleader level pretty girl. And by successfully, I mean to completion to a certain extent. The worst part of the memory was I consciously knew that she was my best friend's crush. And it was the worst thing I ever did to someone that I cared about. But at that time, I didn't care. And that was the lowest point in sort of my moral life. But in a sort of very petty high school level of ego building, it was also the highest point in a way. So it was the epitome of the bittersweet moment. Let's put it that way. And I was super drunk. I mean, the drunkest I've ever been. That's not an excuse for what I did. It might be a reason, but it's not an excuse.
I've been drunker than I was that night. I don't know why I threw up that time.
I've never been as drunk since. It was the one and only time I got like dry heave sick drunk.
Yeah.
And I have never crossed that line again, primarily because of how I acted and what I did in that moment. And this is like, God, almost 20 years ago now. But all the same, I mark that event as honestly one of the turning points in my growing up, because after that point, I was like, I am never going to do anything like that to anybody I care about ever again. Doesn't matter how callous I might be, never again. And I never have. So, skeleton in my closet, but hopefully I've learned from it.
There's a lot of conversation about me being drunk in chat now. I'm a very fun drunk. I'm a very loud drunk. But I just laugh the whole time. I'm just like you've seen me at my worst on here, like talking about jacking off on toilet seats, except for I talk about it very loud and laugh the whole time I'm doing it.
Uh-oh, what'd you say?
She's asking if I remember whispering to her. Everybody thinks because of how drunk I get, I'm going to forget what happened, and I remember everything. I do.
Somebody earlier asked, which is better, The Phantom with Billy Zane or The Shadow with Alec Baldwin? I like The Shadow better, honestly. There was more style to it, more panache, even though it had its weak moments, but it had some really good dialogue. And Ian McKellen, I think the first time I ever saw him is in that movie as the absent-minded professor guy. So,
let's see. Question: funniest jerk off you've ever had? Funniest? God. I take my jerking off very seriously.
I can't think of anything funny.
No.
I've heard funny stories that dealt with jerking off. Like a guy at it was a comic book convention or something, and he was super drunk, and he walked up to this hotel room door, and he was like half naked, and he was just like mindlessly jerking off at the store. He went to the wrong door. He thought he was going to his hotel. He knocks on the door. And he's just jerking off, thinking his girlfriend's behind the door. The door opens up just as he climaxes.
Nice.
And like it hits the lady's feet, who's like not his girlfriend. And he looks down, looks up at her, realizes something's wrong, and the first words out of his mouth, and I shit you not, are, "Did I come at a bad time?"
Oh my God.
And apparently her boyfriend was in there, and they thought it was so hilarious they like gave him a drink and sent him on his way.
Nice. What's your favorite Halloween candy? The next 6 minutes asked us.
Oh God. Probably like mini Milky Way bars.
Specifically Halloween, those little caramel squares. I fucking love those. When you've done something you know was bad and you regret it, does it help you become a better person if you learn from the experience? That's the only way you become a better person.
That's called wisdom. You know, there's experience and then there's wisdom. Have you done something is one thing. Have you learned from that experience and can apply it to future experiences? That is the differential between just doing stuff and becoming more wise in your personal evolution. So yeah, when I did that horrible thing, I saw the absolute depths of where I could go. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I never knew how low I could go till I went the lowest I could go, kind of thing. And then you realize just where you're not the saint or, you know, wherever you thought you were. So it's like, okay, well, now I know where I never want to go again. And as long as you stick to that, you're a better person than you were at that moment, which does mean something.
Oh, great question from Inedible Trout. Darth Vader or Revan? Revan. And I'm going based on the movies, not any expanded universe. But in the movies, Darth Vader is not a very deep character.
Yeah, the prequels completely rob Vader of the pathos and the drama that might otherwise be there if they just left it be. Whereas Revan's story, I mean, if you take it, the canon arc for Revan is bad guy, amnesia, good guy. And just that arc alone is so epic. And the original intent behind his reasoning for doing what he did in becoming a Darth, except that they completely fucked it up in the Old Republic MMO when they changed the plot line. He became a Sith to get the Republic ready for the greater threat of the Sith Empire. You know, it's like, I have to show them that there's a threat so they'll build up their forces and be prepared because something worse is coming, and I'm the only one that can facilitate this because they're not going to take me seriously if I just say these guys are out there. I have to become the threat that I know is coming to defeat my home. Brilliant storytelling. Revan's way better.
Yeah.
Jacob Jet says, who's Revan again? Play Knights of the Old Republic. You will find out all about Revan. All about Revan. It's great.
What else do we have here? Guys, you got 8 minutes left. Any awesome bar fights or otherwise drunken fights? No, I'm a very happy drunk. I really am.
Best bar fights, Roadhouse.
Oh, yeah. Rip your throat out.
Yeah, Roadhouse.
How'd you celebrate your 21st birthday? I was a relatively calm person. I didn't get shit-faced drunk until my 30th birthday.
I was in college. My best friend at the time came over to my dorm room, and as soon as midnight hit, took me out to a dirty bar downtown, and I had 2 straight shots of pure well vodka. And it was the first time I'd ever had hard liquor. I mean, I was practically I was a Puritan essentially up to that point. And it was the worst tasting shit I ever had. But it was also the sweetest in a sense, because I was like, I can do this and I'm not going to get in trouble. That was part of the great memory of it.
Would you rather, and this was specifically to you, well, I see your name more than mine. I don't know why that happened. So it's to both of us. I apologize. Okay. Would you rather meet Q or Hades? Q, of course.
Which Hades? You mean like from... it depends on what incarnation of Hades you're talking about. If you're talking about like Clash of the Titans, Ralph Fiennes Hades, or are you talking about like Hercules Disney movie Hades, because yeah, but I mean like yeah, Q is a completely known quantity. You're gonna have to specify your Hades there.
Well, it doesn't matter for me. Q is just awesome. I love Q.
Yeah.
Oh, no bad. Thank you for the donation. Monkey, what did you do for your 60th birthday? I'll probably be rotting away by then.
Because if you're talking about Disney Hades, yeah, that's James Woods, and I love James Woods. So,
yeah.
But Q, yeah. I mean, God, John Delancey is just such a great actor and so much fun. I'd probably say Q. Is. Yeah, I mean, if you could come up with a really, really cool version of Hades, maybe I'd have to think about it. But Q is so neat.
There's a conversation going on where the notion of 10 foot tall and bulletproof comes up.
Okay.
I don't need to be drunk to have that feeling. I never did.
No, you're only bulletproof if you're wearing the Mormon magic underwear. Also,
right.
you're immune from fire.
Which Q? That's the name for all of them. Well,
the main John Delancey Q.
John Delancey, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, what else do we have here? Best barbecue restaurant sauce you ever tasted?
I can't say because that would dox me because it's a local thing.
Right. God, I don't pay that much attention to their sauces. I'm gonna go with dipping sauce from McDonald's for my nuggets. Thank you, Timothy Seelback, for my 21st birthday field exercise rolling around northern Germany.
Wow. Whiskey theorizes next pick for James Bond, John Cena. No, I'm kidding.
The Rock.
Oh, Christ. I would like them to find a dramatic actor who's not an action-ready individual. And I'd like to have a Bond movie that focuses more on the espionage suave shit than it does on the explosions. Please, please, please. They won't do it, but I wish they would.
Make a good Bond.
Let's see. Let me look up British because it's got to be British.
It's got to be British.
Got to be British.
You know what? I'm going with tailed feature. If Sean Connery can do it, tailed can.
Oh, you know who should be James Bond? Because he would end up saving the world just as a part of his preparation for the role. Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh, God,
Daniel Day-Lewis would defeat Russia by himself preparing for the role. So I think Daniel Day-Lewis would make a great Bond.
We're asked our favorite chain restaurant. If we're not talking about fast food right now, mine would be Ruby Tuesdays. Their newer menu, I really, really enjoy the ribs they have there.
Answer my political question, says Scotch. I don't know what your question is, Scotch.
Scotch asked us which was better about different
Monkey, you completely cut out. Can anybody hear me now? Because Monkey just cut off. I can't hear him. If anybody can hear me. Did I sit on my controller here? No? Okay. You hear me, but you can't. Can you hear Monkey as well? Because I can't hear Monkey. Oh, great. Monkey went bye-bye. Well, guys, I guess it's just the Scribe show for the last 2 minutes, unless or until Monkey can show up. All right, guys. You got 2 minutes. 2-minute warning. I'll answer whatever questions I can, but yeah, this stream's going to die real quick if Monkey's not here for long enough. So you might as well just ask whatever questions you can get. Scribe is the last Lord standing. I am. Was Dankula's case today? I heard something about that, but I don't know enough to say right now. Monkey is gone. Scribe is here. Okay, spank the monkey. Well, after the stream's over with. Thank you, Chaos Eve. Irate Bear for James Bond. Well, he would be the whitest Bond there's ever been. Marvel or DC Comics? Marvel. Do you ever twiddle your turtle cave, Scribe Light? Only when I'm wiping my butt. Where is Monkey? Monkey disappeared. Scribe Light is the last that remains. Lord of the Night. Scribe, Lord of the Closing. Yeah, I'll have to do that too. Scribe, did you see that Urachisha cult or whatever? Yeah, I looked it up. I know that a lot of weird cults, and that's just one more on the list. I can kind of hear noises. Monkey, are you there?
Am I here now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
My internet went out. I'm on my phone, so we're pretty much at the top of the hour anyway. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. How's that?
That's fine.
Chat, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for the donations. Thank you guys for always joining us on this little trip we do. Scribbles, thanks for joining me tonight. SDA, hope everything's okay where you are. Guys, your life makes me sad. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
And I have no idea how to end this.
I was about to say, I don't think you can end it from your phone if you started it on your computer.
Well, we'll see.
I think you just need to.
We'll just have to both hang up.
Okay. Bye.
Right. Bye, guys.